Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Today, I'm going to tell you why I want Jose Mourinho to be Chelsea's manager. It is a relatively unpopular opinion because it's a polarizing opinion. And people either are loving the idea about the potential third round of Mourinho as Chelsea manager, or people absolutely despise it. So, as I always like to do, I like to voice my opinions, but also reason with some of the opposing points of view. So, lock in. I don't know how long I'm going to be going for with this video, but today I'm going to compare Mourinho with a couple of other managers that Chelsea are currently linked with if Graham Potter is indeed to be sacked. Based off of the current trajectory of results and the fact that it is so many games, I think it would be almost not foolish to believe that Potter will remain as Chelsea manager beyond the next couple of weeks. But right now, when Chelsea look at their next two games, you have got Leeds United, who are relegation fighting, at Stamford Bridge. And then you've got Dortmund in the Champions League. And you can then look at the Premier League table and argue that if Chelsea fail to beat Leeds and don't knock Dortmund out of the competition, the season is over at the beginning of March. And for Chelsea to be able to validate why Graham Potter remains in a job, if that is to be the case, would be mind-blowing to me. It would baffle me beyond comprehension because, quite frankly, no matter what the vision is, no matter what the project is, unless there is a clause in Graham Potter's contract specifying that he must be given at least 1 year or at least one pre-season, which maybe there is, then there's no other reason to keep Graham Potter at the club because in terms of trajectories, it is beyond unacceptable. So I think Chelsea, at some point or another, Graham Potter's still in the job. It's Thursday, we've got Leeds in 2 days' time. So we've got to work with the fact that he's still in the job, but also with the growing pressure surrounding these results, with all of the conversations we've been hearing about within the club, that because there are multiple board members who are new here, not everybody is backing him right now. So the moment there's a conflict of interest here between people at the club, inevitably, it never ends with the manager keeping his job, especially when results don't improve. So if Chelsea go ahead and win their next 5 games, best believe there is no longer any talk of Graham Potter being sacked from the club, because there's talk about him being sacked from the club now because we keep losing and nothing's happening. So if Chelsea start winning, Graham Potter buys himself time as the manager. So what I believe is one of the main reasons why Graham Potter is failing so hard at Chelsea right now is down to the mentality of the players. Something that might not necessarily be directly Graham Potter's fault, because I think there's always been an ingrained mentality issue with Chelsea. And I think a lot of it has come down to managers and the board, conflicts of interest, arguments, disagreements. And then you've also got the obvious, which is an incredibly bloated squad of players where only 11 can start every single game. And when you've got 30 plus players in the squad, there are evidently going to be people who are unhappy. Now, the reason why I think Jose Mourinho would be a great fit for Chelsea this third time round, the second time, I think a lot of it was down to sentiment. And we brought Mourinho back to the club because we always had that unfinished business argument here that he did so well and then it ended so abruptly when things started to go even remotely south. So when I think it was a draw in the Champions League against Rosenborg, perhaps, when Mourinho first got sacked, when we look at that form compared to Potter's form right now, where he's not been sacked, you can see why Roman Abramovich is considered so brutal in the eyes of the footballing world, because even Ancelotti, fired in the tunnel after a game against Everton when Chelsea finished second in the league that season, and Carlo Ancelotti is fired by Abramovich. Things are different around here, they say. Jose Mourinho is different now, they say. The argument is that Mourinho plays outdated football. And it just so happened that the day Eunice and I made that tier list video where I said that I think Mourinho is a great appointment, he got sent off whilst his team were losing to the club bottom of Serie A. And it looked a bit embarrassing. It's going to be memed up for a while. And a lot of people believe that Jose Mourinho's footballing philosophies in terms of tactics are now outdated. The pace of the Premier League has become so rapid, so fast, so attack-minded, possession-based football that maybe Mourinho can't hack it anymore. And then people use the fact that he was considered a failure at Manchester United, which by all accounts, what we've seen from Manchester United, now Erik ten Hag has come in there. But they've also got significantly better players now than they did when Mourinho was there. And Mourinho still won them a trophy, and he also managed to get them second in the Premier League just before this era of dominance from a Liverpool, Man City, or not even just before, during the beginning of this sensational Liverpool City dominance that the Premier League's seen in recent years. Now Arsenal have broken that mould. Spurs as well. I'm sorry, we're talking about ingrained mentality issues at Chelsea. There is an ingrained mentality issue at Tottenham Hotspur that they don't win things. They're considered a bigger club than they actually are because they spent a load of money on a stadium and got a Netflix series or an Amazon Prime series, whatever it was. Quite frankly, Spurs can never be considered a big club in my eyes, not just because I have personal hatred towards them, but we're talking about 20 years plus without a trophy, which is absolutely outrageous. You get into the FA Cup, you can get to the quarterfinals, you go to Sheffield United and you lose. And Tottenham are cycling through, apparently, top-class managers. So Jose Mourinho goes to Spurs and he fails, but everybody fails. At Tottenham, even Pochettino, you can argue, having never won a trophy, solving the biggest issue ingrained at the club that they're not winners, Poch failed as well. Everybody fails when they go to Spurs. Now at Roma, he wins them their first trophy in I don't know how long, Jose Mourinho. A European Cup, yeah, okay, it's not the Champions League, and it's not even the Europa League, but Jose Mourinho still won them a trophy. There is no doubts in my mind when it comes to cup football that Jose Mourinho is still that guy. When it comes to the league, yes, we do see dramatic fallouts now, and those dramatic fallouts are amplified because it is happening when he's not as successful as he was in the past. However, the reason I think Jose Mourinho would fit right now at Chelsea Football Club is because Chelsea Football Club, what we've done under this new ownership is try to take something that was a successful model, and because financially it wasn't sustainable, we have immediately tried to change absolutely everything and expected the results to be different or the same as they were before. I know that they always say when everything changes, change everything. I do believe that that does work for a lot of different facets in life. But I think what Chelsea need to do is sustain the identity of the mentality of what it is to be Chelsea Football Club. And right now, Graham Potter is, in my opinion, not that kind of persona to be able to instill the identity into so many new players of what it means to be Chelsea Football Club. It's also why, if I'm talking about Jose Mourinho coming back to Chelsea, it would be on the premise that he works with John Terry as his assistant manager. We've seen JT as an assistant manager already. And as much as maybe Mourinho might not be the best tactical manager now for the Premier League, Chelsea had Thomas Tuchel, who was an absolute mastermind. That didn't work. You've also got Graham Potter, who was supposedly, before he came to Chelsea, a tactical master who can adapt different parts of who he's going to play game by game based on the opponents. That was what we bought into. And it's failed miserably. So in order for Chelsea to be able to have this sustainable future that we've been promised and that we're believed to believe is what the vision is right now at Chelsea, you've got to keep hold somehow of what being Chelsea actually is. And is there any better manager in all of the linked managers with us right now than Jose Mourinho? A serial winner. Yes, maybe the football might not be the most attractive. Yes, a couple of nights ago he's sent off and his team lost the bottom of the league in Italy. But I think what Chelsea need to do is maybe this transitional period needs to be less about going down and then straightening out, but we need to start climbing down the stairs of old habits and start climbing up the stairs of new ones. And if Jose Mourinho is to come in now, I think he can get a tune out of a very talented group of players because he's got that personality where players are on their toes a little bit. I think at the moment, what the Chelsea players are struggling with is understanding that the situation for the club, yeah, okay, it's not good. It's not good. That's what we're hearing. The boys are getting on. We're trying really hard. That's not good enough. We need someone to come in there, stamp down some authority. And from what we're hearing from Potter's press conferences, what we're hearing in footballers' press conferences when they're doing their pressers, there doesn't really seem to be any anxiety coming through that we are really desperate to get this sorted. And maybe anxiety is the wrong word here. But I think there doesn't seem to be any real grit behind any of the things we're seeing in performances or hearing. And I think Jose Mourinho would absolutely be able to instill what being Chelsea is. And yeah, okay, it can be considered that that is not a good enough asset for a coach to have, and it's fueled by nostalgia. Of course, I'm not stupid enough to realise that if Mourinho wouldn't have won 3 Premier Leagues with us already, then that does add an element into the reasons behind it. Yes, there is an element of nostalgia behind what I'm saying. But the main thing is I think we have gone and tried to change everything too quickly. And I think one of the biggest parts of what the Chelsea manager needs to do is instill the mentality of winners that Chelsea Football Club are into a bunch of players who not all of them are winners yet. Some of them are. Some of them are Champions League winners. Some of them are World Cup winners. But I think the biggest thing right now is that there is a serious discord in following a new project and vision blindly, but also bringing with us a lot of the mentality that have made Chelsea successful for the past 20 years. And I think Mourinho, when or if given a squad this talented with time, that is what Mourinho has wanted his whole career. He's wanted to be given a project where instant success isn't 100% the number one thing. So with a budget potentially in the summer and the upcoming transfer windows, Mourinho's not going to be worried about not playing players who are evidently not going to be Chelsea players, because I still believe he cares about the club. It was hard to take it when he managed Spurs and managed Manchester United. It was difficult to see. But I do genuinely believe, maybe blindly, maybe incorrectly, I don't know the bloke, maybe I'm wrong. But I do think Jose Mourinho wants to see Chelsea succeed, and I do believe he's doing a good job at Roma. Yeah, he's not winning Serie A. Napoli are running away with it, but he won another European competition, and I think that there's still life in the man yet. And I look at a lot of the other managers that we're being linked with. I don't see longevity in Luis Enrique. I do see coming in, playing a good brand of football, but I don't think it's going to last. And then there's also managers that we're being linked with, like Brighton's Roberto De Zerbi. Do you know how crazy this is? Do you know how stupid we would look if we fire Graham Potter and then go to Brighton again and be like, we want your manager again. Sorry, you're never going to have success, Brighton, because if you do, we're just going to steal your man. Again, it's not just about looking silly as to why I don't want Roberto De Zerbi, but I also think that Roberto De Zerbi might not be that level of personality that Chelsea need. I think Chelsea have been a big club for so long, so successful, because we have had big managers with big personalities and egos at the club. And I think when you look across other successful clubs, De Zerbi's not going to win the Prem. Claudio Ranieri was so lucky that he won the Premier League with Leicester City. But again, he's known as the Tinker Man. And I think Chelsea can't just blindly go into this new era thinking that we can still be successful, but bring in managers who maybe don't have this elite level mentality. And in my opinion, Jose Mourinho is still in that elite bracket because of everything he's achieved in his career. Give him the time, give him some more money to spend if he wants it, and give him the authority to cut players from this squad. And I think Mourinho would bring success to Chelsea Football Club again. I absolutely understand that a lot of you may completely disagree with me here and think I'm delusional. That's okay. The only difference is I'm not going to go around saying that people are idiots or morons if they have an opinion I don't agree with. So yeah, be diplomatic in the comments down below. Tell me why I'm wrong. I really want to hear it. But at the moment, I'm looking through all the managers and I still don't think Graham Potter's the right guy. But I look at some of the others and I don't think they are either. And maybe Mourinho 3.0 is exactly what we need. Someone who loves this club, someone who wants this club to succeed and is still that big ego that can transition us through a new era of change. Come on, you Blues.